Okay, well, been asked to share what little bit of knowledge I have about segmenting. So we're going to start with the very basics today. What I found over the years, I started off with the old sled and the group of people that do a lot of segmenting around the world have improved all kinds of jigs, and so far this seems to be the best setup for cutting accurate segments. It's based on these, they call them wedgies. That's why this sled is called a wedgie sled. So you can see, you know, these are each, so this is for 8 segments, 12, 15, 32, 36, 40, 16, 48, for however many segments you want to build your ring. Today, to just keep it simple, we're going to go with the 12 segment ring. It's enough segments that it'll give you a good understanding of how critical it is to set up your sled. So turn this up here. So to set your sled, you got to put your wedgie in here, and you can see right now there's a gap in there. So you slide this over, and it's very, very critical that you get this a tight fit. So I'm going to show here what happens if you don't. Okay, so you can see here there's a tiny, tiny bit of a gap at this end, but it's nice and tight here. It might look like it's perfect, but this would probably work for narrow, skinny rings like this one, because the mount that's off is quite small. So over this distance, it's not going to be as prevalent. But when you get into wider rings, you might be able to see here, if it'll pick it up on the camera, that little gap is the result of that not being perfectly set. So take the time, set this perfectly, get it in there nice and tight. And when it's tight, see, fits in there real nice. You actually have to pop it out. And that's what you want. These are set to the exact amount that you want. So once you got your sled up, or your sled set up, and we'll move over and we'll cut some segments. All right, so when you prepare your stock, it's quite important to make sure you have nice straight sides. So, you know, just taking a piece of wood and it's close enough, not really. Because if you have a bit of a bow in here, it's going to affect preparing your stock is quite crucial to getting nice fitting segments. So make sure that's cut nice and straight, sanded. And before we go over and put it in and start cutting, there's 2 faces that you have to mark so you don't lose your orientation. So I always put a mark on the top. So when I'm cutting my segments, this will always face up. And I'm going to mark this one. This face will always face the side of the jig. And with that done, we can move over and start cutting some segments. To start off, we have to get the proper angle cut on the jig. Not quite enough. Take your piece, move it over, and this is my stop block. Set to how long you want your segments. And just keep doing that till you got 12 segments. Make sure you wait till your blade stops turning before you reach in and grab those segments.
How do you know that?
I've seen other people with one less finger. Okay, so now we take our segments here. Hopefully I got 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, yep, 12. And while we're here, I'll just show you this. It's just a little stop block. I made it up. So you just get these cheap plastic calipers. And when it's here, it says 0. And of course, this is going to read negative, but that's fine. So you set whatever the edge length, that's what this length is on the caliper. Lock it down, and you're good to go. Okay, we'll clean these up and start gluing. Okay, so now you can see here that half of these, you line on the top and a line out on this end, and the other half, line on top, and then the line is here, but because that's so sharp, you don't see it. So what I always do is I alternate them. So I pick out all the ones that are like this, set them in one pile, set the other ones in another pile. Okay, so now we got 6 in each pile. And you can see this is a teeny little ring. But that's okay, it's going to be perfect for demonstration purposes. Okay, now, you know, I've got a fairly good cross-cut blade in my saw, so it cuts pretty clean. You want to make sure that there's no fuzzies there. A lot of times you just wipe them off like that, because if they get in the glue up, they can cause gaps. So it's just a matter of rubbing them off a little bit. I mean, you can sand them if you want, but I've always found that just giving them a quick rub is sufficient. If you got a sharp blade, it doesn't leave much. I seem to be mixed up some. There he is. Okay, so what I like to do is make yourself up a little board like this. All it is a couple pieces of wood made into a 90-degree. I used to put the glue on here. That's why I put tape on. I've quit doing that now, but because I still had these. Okay, so I'm going to lay my tape out. And I'm going to start with a segment. Doesn't matter which one. Okay, I put it on here. Make sure it's no tape sticking out past this end. Okay, and then we're going to alternate them. So I'm going to have it so that one side of the ring will have that line all the time, and it's going to alternate back and forth. And you just slide them in here, make them tight. Go down there like that. And I think it off a little bit. And if you want, you can do a little test setup. Tape's not the greatest here, I see. Okay, kind of, you can see it's reasonably good fit. For some reason, there's something wrong with this one here, but not sure why. See, we're getting a bunch of gaps here, so there's something that's gone haywire with this one. So this is not, this one's not going to work very good for doing a full, eh? Okay, so see here we got gaps.
Right up close to this camera. There you go.
Okay, so this one, we didn't get a good cut on our segments. Okay, there could be various reasons for it. I'm not sure exactly why, but it may be because I'm trying to cut to too small a point or my jig is off. But all is not lost. So what we can do is glue up only half the ring at a time. And we'll put some little spacers in there when we do. And then we can just a light sanding to make those both flat after, and it'll be a nice tight ring. So let's throw some glue in here. Oop. You don't need a lot of glue. I only put on enough, and I only do one side because that seems to be enough. This is end grain to end grain, so it's not going to be a super strong joint to begin with. That's not what gives your pieces the strength. Where the strength comes from is when you glue the two rings together. You're gluing side grain to side grain, and you're setting your segments up in a brick-laid fashion, and that's the joint that holds these together. I have dropped rings on the floor, and I'm not going to lie to you. Occasionally they will break, but it's not a big deal. You can generally pick up the pieces and re-glue them. Okay, so now we just take this, zip it around. Having the tape on here just makes it so much easier to handle. And my clamp of choice is rubber bands. And of course, I'm so used to doing these all at once, I forgot to leave a space in between so we could fix this ring after. So I'm going to pop out of the camera and get a couple of little nails put in here and show you how to fix that. And that'll compensate for any mistakes we made when we cut our segments. Okay, so now we've got one ring partially glued up. There, so now you can see that these gaps are all pretty much tightened up. And then to get this ring to fit, we'll take it to a sander, just kiss these two edges so they fit up tight, and a little bit of glue, and we're good to go again. So let's see if we can cut another ring that's going to fit nice and one glue up. That looks much better. Cut extra. Okay, let's just, for a bit of a sanity check here, before we go to all the trouble of putting it on the tape. Okay, we'll just squeeze them all up here nice. Get sure all these outside corners are lining up nice. And for some reason, I don't know if it's this crazy oak or what it is, but we're not getting very nice segments. I'm gonna take this one out. Well, I'm not happy with that again. I'm not sure what's going on. That's a little better. The glue I like to use is Tight Bond 3. It's waterproof, but the more important thing is it has a little longer open time than the other Tight Bond glues. You can pretty much use any wood glue you want. I just got into the habit of using this. They do a lot of bowls, or I used to do a lot of segmented bowls, and as such I wanted waterproof glue. And I stole one of my wife's old sewing mats, which works out very well for keeping the glue off your workbench. Eh? Oh yeah, puckboard was, yep. Anything that I got a bunch of paper from sign company in Stony Plain, and it's the backing paper off their material they use, and glue doesn't stick to it either, and it works really good. You just have a little look and go around, fix your segments, get them all down in place. Make sure your ring is nice and flat. And we are going to flatten it on the sander later, but the flatter you can keep them now, the better. Wipe off a little bit of the glue. Okay, so once we get our rings all glued up, they'll look like that. But now we have to flatten one side. Okay, so I do have a dual drum sander, but this is just as easy. I've got another smaller disc sander, but for bigger rings, all I did was MDF. There, let's spin this off. Very easy to make. I use the Beal threading tool. The tap fits the same thread as my lathe. You can get them for almost any lathe. This one's 33 millimeter. It's metric. You can do 1 inch, 8 threads, whatever. And hardwood, make sure you're tapping into the face grain. And not only did I glue this on, but I also put screws in from this side, because this is MDF. Do not trust a glue joint on MDF. It'll rip out on you all the time. And then you just go get the adhesive-backed sanding discs. This is 80 grit, which is more than enough. If you want a little faster, you can do 60 grit. But okay, try to keep the tips of your fingers back off the edge, because you will sand them off. Unless you're a safe cracker, you don't want to do that. It's just as simple as okay. And make sure you got it all the way around. Take a pencil, put some pencil marks on. It's a real quick and easy way to make sure you haven't missed any spots. See here? Got a little bit more to go. Well, try to keep your ring centered on the outside, because if you move it up too far, you're taking more off here because more sandpaper's going by than it is in the center. But now you can see all our pencil marks are gone. Now we're good to go. Okay, so now the next thing, okay, So now we have our messed up ring in 2 halves. And over here at this disc sander, we're just going to kiss each of these faces to make it flat. You can see here how we haven't got nice flat surface. So I'm going to just put them on here. I don't want to take too much off, because if you take too much, then your ring becomes oval. See here, I haven't touched that face. Okay, you can see here, it hasn't got sanded here. There's a little bit of where the saw blade took a little nick out of it. And you put that up, it shows up right there. So back to the sander, take a little more off. It looks like it's cleaned up good now. And there we go. That, see, still have a little gap here and there. And I think that's from, you can see on this side it's tight. And I think that's from, they rubbed up against the saw when I was cutting them off. But now we have a nice tight thing, so we can go and glue it up. Okay, so I have a very small glue block on here, but that's going to be big enough for our base. This is a pretty small ring, so it'll fit on there. But we need to have a nice flat surface on there, so I take it down. It doesn't have to be perfect when you're doing that, because we have a little trick. I always like to leave a little concave in the center too. You can see here it's a little bit rounded in there. I always take, a nice straight edge, throw it up here, look down from the top, and for the most part those outsides are very close. But close isn't good enough. We want it to be perfect. So it's just a board, flat board. This is, I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, it's a nice flat board. I just made it so 80 grit sandpaper. This is stuff left over from my belt sander. Unfortunately, they don't sell exact length rolls, so you always have a little bit left over, and it's a good way to use them. So how this works is, put it on there flat, and you can see how it wants to jiggle. That means we got a high spot someplace. So as you sand it, it becomes flatter. You can probably already see how we got a real nice edge all around there. And that's probably all we're going to need for, for this. But again, put a pencil mark on there if you so wish. So now this is nice and flat, nice and smooth, ready to glue it up. Okay, so the next step is we've got our base block all flattened, ready to accept the ring. we have our ring flattened on one side. We need to get it on here, but how do you get it centered? Well, I suppose there's lots of different ways. This is the method I use. I use just another MDF board, put on here, use a point type tool, cut some concentric rings on it, and I also have this little adapter that fits my my one-way live center on the tailstock that spins. So put the adapter on here. Okay, so I'm going to put the good side up, and I'm going to use these rings around here to try to center this piece on here as best I can. I'm leaving the rings, the bands on for a bit because the glue is probably not completely set. Yeah, I think that's not bad. Okay, so, and then all I do, I use a hot melt glue gun. This is so small, probably 3 is enough. It's going to hold it in place for now. Just for a bit of a sanity check, once you got it on here, you can give it a spin and see if this runs pretty true or if it wobbles. If it wobbles too much for your liking, take it off and do it again. I think that's secure enough now. I'm gonna, well, no, I'm gonna spin this just to see how good we did.
Okay, just give me a second here. Let me put this down.
Got a bit of a wobble, but it's not too bad.
Good enough, yeah.
Yep. Because I mean, you got to remember we're gonna turn that off after. Okay, so now that we've got that on there, the next step is, of course, we would put glue on both, on here and bring it up. Okay, so once our ring is glued on, this just pops off. Okay, see how it comes free? Okay, I just use hot melt glue here because it saves us a little time, but normally we would glue that on. Okay, so now we have to do the same with this face as we did with the base. So I'm going to come in and see, we're off a little bit out of round, but okay, we're a little bit high out on the corners, so we'll just take a quick now we hit it with our sandpaper. I think my sandpaper is getting dull. Quick little check. Now if it's flat, it'll only take just a light little touch. And most of it's gone, so that's not bad. So now we're back to putting our other ring on. So again, upside down, centered. And because this one's a little bigger, I can already tell that it's centered much better than the last string was, because this ring is nice and close. Okay, what I like to do too is, now that you see the big difference in the size of the rings, so I'm going to grab my pencil and just mark okay. Get out of the way so you can see. Now we can have a bit of a ring on there. Perfect. So we don't need glue anywhere other than inside that ring. And I'll get my glue. Now we have to set up the bricklay. So you probably want to come around the corner again. Okay, so I like to bring it up and set these lines here. If you want, you can measure, but I just eyeball it. You want it the center of these other two here. So about halfway. Bring your tailstock up, and that's what I use for a clamp. And so I don't drip glue all over, I put a piece of paper underneath to catch the glue.